All right, ladies and gentlemen, today I'm going to be showing you part one of cloning your voice using artificial intelligence. And we're going to be using Microsoft Azure to accomplish that. Now, the specific resource that we're going to deploy is called Cognitive Service. So, to get started, first you really need a Microsoft Azure account. If you're a university student like I am, it's actually a pretty straightforward process. I'm going to put all of the links in the description for the various websites I mentioned. But the first website we're going to visit is the actual Azure tools for developers, for teaching, sorry. So Azure DevTools for teaching, this link right here. If you sign on to this link with your organization or university's login credentials, you will have access to Azure as well as $200 of free Azure credits that you can use for any resource deployment. So hell, you could even host your website on here if you wanted to. Have a Windows 10 machine for fun, or etc., etc. Anyway, the way you're going to deploy a cognitive services resource is pretty simple. You can see that mine are right here, cognitive services. If we want to deploy another one, we just go to add cognitive services, and then I'm not going to deploy it right now because I already have one running, but that's in essence how you get this started. So once it's gotten started and once it's notified you that you are ready to roll, you can navigate to the actual voice, to the actual speech customization portion of cognitive services. So what you do is you go to speech.microsoft.com, sign in, and then boom, you're in. So this, what we're looking for specifically here is text to speech. So build a recognizable one-of-a-kind voice for your applications, starting with just a few minutes of voice data. And they do hold up to that claim. I was very surprised with what I was able to procure from just a few minutes of audio recording. So we'll go in here, and then we'll go into my text-to-speech playground. And as you can see, I have a bunch of different stuff that I've recorded here. But to be honest, I need a lot more data before it's really going to sound spot on. So I'll briefly gloss through these. These are the training tab is where you aggregate the data and then have it learn based off the data. Testing is where you actually make your application or your model speak certain words, and deployment is where you create endpoints that you can interact with APIs. So we're just going to be talking solely about data today. So how do you collect good data for Azure's servers to be able to process correctly and funnel that into a eventual training model? So I'll show you what that looks like. So I have a example article right here, and on looking at it, it's a pretty simple article with no words that are really hard to pronounce, right? In essence, the goal of the data collection that you're going to do is you want to find either short stories, articles, or simple English stories. Anything that's easy to read, anything that's easy for you to do in one take without screwing up significantly. Because if you're reading a book like, I don't know, Man's Search for Meaning, that was a book I originally tried to read, and it was very difficult. I would trip up a lot. And the point of the data collection is you want to be as close as possible to the transcript that we're going to be providing cognitive services with. So what does that look like? Let's do an example right now, actually. So we'll copy and paste this. So this is our article, and I've already created a folder for it right here in Documents, Azure, Pending, China, Tesla. So I'm actually going to not just create a text file right there. I'm going to paste it in here first. Why? Because we want to parse some of this text into a different format. We're going to remove the line breaks and the paragraph breaks from this to make it all on one line. So remove line breaks. Boom, here we go. We have all the text on one line. Now I'm going to open up Notepad++ because Microsoft requires that you have a very specific encoding for their engine to process your data correctly. So we switch the encoding from UTF-8 to UTF-8 BOM. Save that, and now we'll navigate back to our directory. Then so I'm just going to call this china-tesla.txt. Then, as good practice, what I do is I typically will also save the page as a web page complete file, just so I can reference it later if I need to. Because what you're going to do, the text document we just created is going to be what we feed into the data training model, or the data processing itself. But we want to read from the article, because reading from the article is a lot easier than reading from a text file like this. So I'm going to cut out, I'm going to read the article, and then I'll come right back. Okay, so I recorded my audio, and I used an effect called noise reduction to remove the sound of my computer fan purring along right now from the actual audio recorded. Radio silence. We're going to get rid of that, obviously. And then we'll delete this little section of silence prior to Chinese electric vehicle maker NIO said that it will lay off another 1,000 employees Tuesday after reporting heavy losses, adding to growing uncertainty around the startup's future. The New York listed company. So granted, I think I'm reading a little fast. I've been doing my best to slow down, because when you slow down, you'll make less errors, and less errors means better cloning of your voice. So once we have this Audacity file, what I typically do is first I'll save the project just so I can reference it in the future. So we'll call it China Tesla Audacity. Save it like that. And then according to the Microsoft data set, for the data set upload, you have to have it in a very specific format again for the audio file. Luckily, they accept MP3s, which makes life a lot easier. So China Tesla Audacity, we're going to change it to China Tesla.mp3. And if we look here, here we go. There we go. China Tesla. Okay, I made a spelling mistake there. I'll fix that in a second. Anyway, the quality should be 320 kilobits per second, and then you're going to want to save that. Boom. All right, and let's just double check. All right, I have a little bit of silence at the end, but that's okay. Shouldn't really make a difference. Microsoft's AI is pretty good at figuring out what is speech and what isn't. So let's look in here really quick. Take a look in our folder where we put everything. Pending. Yeah, so one important thing to know, this is really important. The name of the text file and the name of the audio file have to be the exact same. If they're not, then Microsoft will refuse to process your data. So then you got China-Tesla.mp3, China-Tesla.txt, and now we're going to compress them because you're required to upload them as zip files. So it doesn't matter what the zip file name is. It only matters what the contents of the file's name are. So so for simplicity's sake, I call this one audio, because it's the audio, and then compress as transcript. And then that way, when I'm uploading, I know exactly which file is which. So boom, this is ready to go. So now all we do is we go back to our custom voice thing, and we upload data, and now we're going to choose long audio plus transcript. Granted, it is beta, but it's been working surprisingly well. And I will say, doing individual utterances and the matching transcript seems to be a pain in the ass. So I would avoid that if I were you, unless you've like made a program that allows you to do that easily. The formatting requirements are really annoying. So long audio plus transcript. And then I don't recommend doing audio only because you're relying on them to transcribe your audio, and it'll map what your words are to what they actually are much less accurate, because the transcription service itself is not 100% accurate. With this, we know the transcription is 100% accurate. The only point of failure is you failing to read the script properly. So next, then we'll call this okay, and then we browse the file, audio, transcript, upload, and now we wait a second for it to appear after it's finished uploading, and then boom, here we go. We now have our audio and transcription data being processed, which will eventually be able to be used in the training models. And that's the end of this tutorial. That shows you how to upload data pretty much as efficiently as possible. The next thing I'll do is show you how to train models, both statistical parametric and concatenation models. Stay tuned, like and subscribe. If you enjoy my content, please feel free to do the usual social media share. I also included my Bitcoin donation link. If I really helped you out, if I really saved you some time, feel free to take a look at that. And also leave a comment if you want to see different things, like how do I use the API? How can I use other cognitive services through Azure? I am more than happy to dive into topics like that. And once I have a very comprehensive model of my voice, I will begin to share those audio samples on my channel. Thank you again for watching, and have a great day.